Hopefully we'll get sound.
We're live.
Hi guys, we're live. I forgot to make the intro. I forgot to make the outro. Poor Cayley and Nikki are here finally, but they don't have sound. They have no sound. So we are having technical difficulties. So what we are going to do is I will let Scot, Chachingking below me, and then Mr. George next to me introduce themselves, and hopefully Cayley and Nikki can get us some sound so they're not sign languaging to us all night. Yeah, I think maybe leave and come back with the mic plugged in. Zeno's just glad it's not George. That's what Zeno says. All right, so let me make Scot big, and hopefully Cayley and Nikki will be back with some sound. That's why we started late. They were having some technical issues. So here is Scot.
I'm Scot, also known as Chachingking on Instagram and YouTube. And if you don't know me, I do a lot of beginner series videos on YouTube. And my wife and I have been resellers since '99, but we've been full-time since 2018. So that's me.
All right, perfect. Here is George.
Hello, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm George the Antique Nomad. I travel coast to coast. I buy and sell antiques and vintage, and have done it for a long time, like even before eBay existed. So I still do online, but I do real world stuff as well. And I've actually done more eBay in the last 2 years than I've done in my entire career up until then. So I actually might have something to say of use now.
All right, let's see. Let's add them back and see. Ladies, do you have sound?
Can you hear us?
Yay!
Yes!
Oh my gosh!
Yay! Finally! All right, so I'm gonna make you ladies big, and you can introduce yourself to everybody. And then we have 42 questions before we even started, just to give you an idea. 42 questions. All right, so here is Cayley and Nikki with sound.
Hi guys, I don't know what the questions are because I'm so sorry. Do not let this be a representation of her channel because I was having so much trouble getting on. But my name's Cayley. This is Nikki. My channel is Cayley Elaine. Nikki pretty much runs half of the business, and we are full-time clothing, shoes, and accessory resellers. We're in our office right now, so you can see some stuff behind us.
We are not too tech savvy. When I say we, I mean me. So sorry for the chaos.
It is okay. And then I didn't have my intro. I don't have an outro. So you fit right in tonight. All right. So first question is from Eileen. Someone messaged me about a 10-pound frame I'm selling and asking me if I have a cheaper option to ship this to her. I know I've heard of pirate shipping, but how do I make this connect with eBay? That way the buyer can track the package. Or do you have any suggestions on which shipping company I could use?
I have used Pirate Ship. All you have to do if you ship it on Pirate Ship is copy the tracking number and add it to your sale in eBay. But it isn't going to be so radically different that they save enough to make it worth their while. So I would wade into that sale very carefully if somebody is really stressing out over a buck or two. You got to remember, a lot of the people that are buying, they're like, oh, if you ship this media mail, it's going to cost $3.50. And, you know, I've shipped enough stuff to know what I'm doing. So I would be hesitant anyway.
That's kind of what we were going to say too. Or I guess I would be hesitant on reaching outside of eBay. We generally just stick with eBay from the get-go just to make sure that we're kind of covered and all the labels are printed in there. We're not worried about address issues or anything crazy. As Scot said, most times it's not as much of a price difference that it seems really worth it to us. If it were me personally, I think I would just refund the buyer the difference of whatever shipping would be or offer them an extra discount just to try to help.
We also don't ship large stuff typically, so that's kind of a little bit outside of our realm. I'm with you there. I'm excited to hear what everybody else has to say.
George.
Well, I do ship large stuff, and I have to say that I do use Pirate Ship because I have had circumstances where the eBay rates, they would not allow me to choose something that I thought would be a lower rate. and I was able to get a lower rate on pirate ship. It usually only applies to large and heavy packages. Oftentimes UPS is a better deal. And so I will look at pirate ship if someone is looking at something large and heavy. I think, again, it has to be proportionate to the amount that you're going to get for the sale. Is it an antique Victorian frame that's worth $350? Well, then, you know, shipping is going to be a fraction of the total cost. But if it's a frame, ooh, I really like that frame and it's $50 and I'm in California and you're in New York and it's going to cost $30 to get it there, it may just not be worth having them do that transaction. So it's kind of situational, I think.
Yeah, and that's a heavy item, probably oversized, I'm thinking. So typically pirate ship is better for smaller, heavier items because you go by cubic inch, but sometimes their UPS is cheaper, like George said. And it automatically, you just link it with eBay. You can connect your pirate ship to your eBay and it automatically will upload the tracking number and everything, just like eBay. It goes off your to ship list. Like for Cayley and Nikki, if you do like heavier clothes and poly bags that are over a pound, pirate ship might be cheaper. I personally run everything through eBay though, just for ease of use because we do so many. I'm not going to compare rates. So you could try doing ground if you have it priority, maybe switch it to UPS ground and that might be a little cheaper. Or you could do like Cayley and Nikki said and give them a refund, you know, once you get your discount, but make sure you save the fees because you're paying, you know, 10 to 12% on shipping fees and tell them you will refund them the difference. That's something I've done before if it's a big difference, but sometimes it's not, you know, like George said, if I'm in Florida, they're in California, that shipping might be pretty spot on and there might not be much wiggle room to give it to them. Go ahead, George.
Well, I just thought of one other thing too. And again, we're not knowing exactly what the size of the frame is, but I know you ship furniture. I ship furniture sometimes. I shipped a Laverne brass table because it's a great mid-century modern piece, and I sold it to a dealer in Seattle, and I was in Florida, and it was, you know, a $2,000 sale. And I actually took it to the drop shipper, and they actually blanket wrapped it and shipped it cross country, and that was actually cheaper than sending it through the mail. So again, it's all proportionate. It's all relative to the value of the item and, you know, size and distance and how much they want it.
Yeah, very true. I wanted to highlight, John said 50 more likes in the next 16 minutes. And he will donate 5 memberships to random people in the chat. So hit the thumbs up button. And John, thank you again. More income over on Instagram, guys. Check him out for sure. He's been around my channel since I was in the hundreds of subscribers. So he's been around for a long time. I greatly appreciate John. Okay, LRA says, if I switch from an eBay personal account to a business account, do I lose my positive feedback and history? I think we'll just let Scott answer this because this is a simple. Yeah. You are not
you do that.
Yeah, you're not going to lose it at all. So I would switch it. You keep it. You just switch it to a business account from personal, and you don't lose any of that feedback. All right, speaking of more income, John wants to know, what one piece of advice would you give someone on the fence about trying reselling that could help them decide if it is for them or not? This is a good question.
Do it. You're not going to know if it's for you or not until you give it a go. So I'll keep my answer short. I try a few, see if you like the process.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say just try it out. I think once people get like the thrill of the hunt down on their first couple sales, I think everybody likes it. But I think one thing to just, you know, consider is, even though you might enjoy it at first, to give it, you know, a solid amount of time, maybe at least a couple weeks, and figure out if you can actually work with your own schedule and, you know, be consistent with it. I think that's where a lot of people fail, is they want to start, but they're unable to be consistent with it. And that's why a lot of people leave reselling. So figure out if you're able to, you know, set your own schedule and be able to work consistently in it.
Well, also, think before you do it about what kind of a reseller you want to be. Some people want to thrift. They want to buy anything they think is inexpensive and flip it for a profit, and that gives them the charge they need. I mean, and I'll tell you honestly, we talk about all these rational things, but there's a whole lot to do with endorphins here. And when you make that sale and you're all excited, that's great. Are you selling the thing you want to sell? In my case, I almost exclusively on eBay sell antique and vintage because that's my role. I noticed that Cayley sells primarily clothing, and I noticed some vintage clothing and a lot of modern things, and she seems to really know her brands, and she's making good money doing it. And so, but it's because that's her niche. Obviously, she likes it. You know, so figure out what you want to sell. Is everything just a widget to you, or is there something that really moves you and you're passionate about and really love being around? Because you're going to handle a lot of it. If you start getting into really being a serious reseller, you're going to see a lot of product. And if you're really kind of indifferent to it, then, you know, it might be hard to keep the enthusiasm. So I would think about that as much as I would think about, do I have enough merchandise? Do I have a schedule? Do I have time? You know, those things are important too. But first of all, do you have the desire?
Yeah, and not everybody is a reseller. I learned this after banging my head against the wall with my husband for a long time. He is not. It is just not his thing. He doesn't like doing it. And no matter how hard I tried or how much money I showed him he could make, he was still not interested in it. So reselling to me is something you either really love doing or you don't. And like George said, it can be boring. Like I was paying my niece very well to list for me, and she left to go back to a butcher shop and cut up meat because she was bored with listing. So not everybody likes it. It's not for everybody. I think my big thing with reselling is people need to have patience, because it's not like you start listing and you're making $5,000 a month. You know, it takes a lot. It's a lot of work, but if you love it, it doesn't feel like work. And it takes consistent putting that work in, taking time. I think the patience is hard to have because you're looking, especially if you're watching YouTube and seeing all of these YouTube content creators making all these sales. But what you're not seeing is they put in years and years of work into building it up to get to that point. So I would just say, like, you have to like it, number one. And you have to be committed to it if you want it to be a good income. You have to you get what you put into it, and that's the big thing. And I waited so long to make John's super chats. They disappeared. So John at Morton sent me a super chat that said happy, a super chat that said birthday. Katie, where did they come from? I can't find them. Katie Reeds is behind the scene helping me. I love you. Thank you so much, Katie. And baby Brindell is there with her as well. Katie is backstage helping. Julian normally does it for me. Look, she found them all. I just looked, Katie. I could not find them. All right. So we are giving John Gino's Dolphin. Thank you so much. My birthday is Sunday. Sunday is my birthday. So it is in between shows. Thank you all for all the happy birthdays. I've been getting them. They're starting to pop up on Facebook because, you know, Facebook tells you like in the next week whose birthday it is. So I'm starting to get them. I appreciate everything you do, John. Here is Dolphin. Oh, I see another one.
Mm-hmm.
I see another.
Ooh.
Thank you, dealer. Thank you. Thank you, dealer. Happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for all you do. Sorry we missed you at Renninger's. I'm sorry, too. I would have loved to meet you. George and I met a lot of people. We met a ton of people. And I told him, go to George's booth.
What is Renninger's?
It's an antique fair, and George sets up a booth. And so I told everybody, I always go back to George's booth like multiple times during the day. So I was like, if you hang out at his booth long enough, you'll see me. And it's November, January, and February. They do it 3 times a year. And it's in Mount Dora, Florida. I was there all 3 days. We got there late Friday because our truck broke down. But I met a lot of, I feel like I met like over at least 10 people. I met a lot of people while we were there, and a couple had booths And I saw Blockhead Arts. She's one. She let Dalton pick any piece of artwork out of her booth, which was amazing. So Marion, thank you again for that. And then he had pick of 2 booths. They said, Dalton, pick whatever you want. And I told Brad, I'm like, he's going to get used to thinking he can like waltz in and like get whatever I'm like, I don't know if this is good or not. So thank you so much. Hopefully we will see you the next time. George, you're doing January and February, right? Okay, yeah, and I will try and I'll try and go at least one day to those. I don't know if I'll be able to do the whole weekend again, but at least one day. So thank you so much. I'm gonna go back to the old Dolphin for this one. Some people said they like my old Dolphin better, so we will do that one this time. Super chat. Yay for Katie. I appreciate you. Okay. Chance says, this question for me, what type of plants did you sell? Garden, house plants, where did you sell them? Any advice for my gardening loving husband as he gets ready for this new adventure? Number one, I would call the state, because you do have to be licensed as a plant nursery and you need to learn the export rules. So there are certain plants that can't go to certain states. It is a lot more complicated than regular reselling. And like, I think it was Texas, you have to have apple snail verification that you don't have apple snails. There is a lot of work. So this is not to, this might discourage him. So you need to get certified to ship to different states. You need to have a stamp to put on the boxes. I sold mostly tropicals that are only available in Florida, so people in other parts of the country can't get them that easy. And so I could buy them cheap, or you could start cuttings and sell them. But I would start with the Department of Agriculture, because he will need a nursery license and he will need shipping stamps. It's a lot of work. That's one of the reasons I quit, because there are different rules for all 50 states. Might not be encouraging. Sorry for that answer. It might not be what you wanted to hear. Tiger Allen Pride says, fourth quarter used to be huge. Are we to expect lackluster fourth quarters for the foreseeable future, like 5 years or so?
I personally don't think so. I think it depends upon what you sell. I started picking up last year a bunch of Radco and Fontanini, and so the fourth quarter for me is rolling hard. I mean, I've got a huge collection of Annalie Christmas dolls. So fourth quarter for me and Christmas is, I'm rocking and rolling. So I think it depends upon what you sell.
We look at each other like, oh, I think fourth quarter, I mean, it's going pretty good for us as well. I think that we noticed kind of some differences this summer. As far as this summer versus last summer, we didn't really notice much of a difference. I think leading into fourth quarter, as far as like a huge jump, but I also think that that's because summer for us was like one of the biggest it's ever been for us. Normally we would see kind of a drop off, and we didn't really see a whole lot of that this year. We are seeing sales trending up towards fourth quarter.
I think a lot of people are freaked out about fourth quarter, but the thing to remember, I don't want to use the R word, recession, but we're going into a time where, you know, a lot, people don't have a lot of money, which in most places, most retail areas, you know, that hits them hard. But for resellers, if you're selling pre-owned items, pre-owned clothing, like we are, I know not everybody sells pre-owned clothing, but for us, you know, in that category, it's doing really well because people need a deal. They need items for cheaper. A lot of people are looking for secondhand stuff. And I think personally, no matter what the situation is going on in the world, I think fourth quarter is really what you decide to make of it.
I agree with that, because my fourth quarter is off to a pretty good start. It seems to be tracking about like last year. And honestly, it really does depend so much on what you have, and thinking about tailoring your offerings to the season, if that's really important to you, is something to do. And it's a little different in our business. In antiques and vintage, we're actually busier the week after Christmas than the week before, oftentimes, because people are afraid to give that kind of used good as a gift because they're not sure what people collect or what they have in their collection. But they still will buy gifts, and they'll still buy holiday decor, and they'll still buy all those categories in vintage. And whether you're selling vintage or new, or I should say gently used, you still have to think about what do people give as gifts as opposed to what do they give to themselves, and focus on those things that people are likely to buy. Look at what the trends are. Look at what there's always some article online about, oh, this category of goods is trending up. So look for those kind of things and put your priority into listing those. So I agree. I think you tailor it to the season, and you're more likely to not get caught in the ups and downs of the economy and those other things.
Yeah, so for me, Q4 never bumps, and I prefer that. I would prefer to be steady year round and have steady sales all year versus getting really busy Q4 and then being slow. I would rather have that like predictable income. And I'm actually about 35% down on eBay because I haven't been listing due to Whatnot. Whatnot is more than making up for the difference though. So I am okay with that. And my daughter just did 100 drafts yesterday. So I do have plenty of drafts in there now. She finally got back on the horse. That's because we're going on vacation. She needed money to spend in the mountains. But I never see that bump. So for me, it's kind of business as usual. And I think it's like George said, like, I feel like most of my stuff is stuff people buy for themselves, not necessarily stuff that's got for gifts, except the only thing is my Christmas ornaments, but I don't list by the season. I list them when I buy them because Christmas will sell year round. I am selling more ornaments now, but they sell year round for me. So I don't like, I'm not a like, Q4. It's business as usual for me. All right, let me click this. I see it, Katie. I'm trying to be self-sufficient because Julian is gone for 3 weeks and I don't know if Katie can always help me. Sunkissed says, I have an upright 1844 Wolfel and Laurent piano. Only 6 made, and it was in a Paris exhibition. My parents lived in France and brought it back with them on the ship. How do I find the value in Happy Birthday Cat? Thank you, Sunkissed.
See, I don't want to be in the hot seat. I'm telling you, this is going to be a George question, but I can tell you, so. Yeah, for my point of view, you've got provenance, you've got rarity. I don't know anything about the quality, but I would start there and try to find out what other ones to go for. And I would probably send George a note on Instagram and say, can you help? So it's a bit out of my comfort zone.
I've got no clue. I would pass it off to the reselling community myself like you're doing. Sounds like a really cool item though.
At George.
Well,
hashtag George.
Well, thank you. Okay, so I do that sort of appraisal work, and I have appraised high-end pianos before. And when you get into that level of rarity, pianos in general, the market is horrible, just terrible, because people are using recorders and electronic devices instead. When you get back to something that's that old and that rare, it doesn't matter because there's so few that the people who do want pianos are going to pay top dollar for that piece. So you probably are going to want to look to auction records at very high-end auction houses, Sotheby's, Christie's, Bonham and Butterworth's. I think that's where you start for valuation on that sort of a thing. But also realize it is now a very, very thin market. At the same time that you're saying, gosh, this is really, really rare, it also means that the customer is similarly very, very rare. So pricing, you can get clues from those other things, but it may be that until you actually put it out to sell in some appropriate environment, that we won't really know what the value is. And that's just the honest truth.
And I have nothing to add. That was definitely a George question. All right, so because here is your dolphin. Yay.
I like the new one.
Gino made it for me. Which, Gino, did you come to Renninger's? I didn't see you if you did. Thank you, Sunkissed. Okay, Kelly wants to know, I have a lot of handwritten German ephemera and letters dating back to the 1800s. What's the best source to figure out what I have and if it's worth anything? Many are signed.
I mean, I love ephemera, and I've sold a lot of it. Honestly, it depends upon what the topic is. It's just the fact that it's German alone doesn't make it valuable. But the topics that are being discussed, if they were important period topics, then that can boost the price a whole lot. But I start with eBay. I use WorthPoint, and some of these, obviously, you're not going to find the same person who assigned it unless it was somebody famous, and that's a completely different issue. But I try to find something else in the realm and go, and then I look at the condition of mine and start there.
Question: what's ephemera?
Paper products.
Okay.
Like old, yeah.
Things that are meant to be thrown away, like concert tickets or playbills, things that were temporary. Yeah.
Very cool. I'm going to pass that question up to you.
Back to George.
Well,
Poor
everything, no, it's great. Everything that he said is absolutely right. And what I would add to that is if you're somewhere and it shouldn't cost a lot, obviously you can try feeding it into Google Translator if you can read it, but you could also go the easy route and go to a local junior college and say, do you have a particularly bright German student who I could give some letters to and pay them $20 to translate some of it so that you do have some idea what the subject matter is, and so that you can ascertain whether perhaps this is somebody famous, because I know a lot about history. Could I tell you what late 19th century Prussian people were famous enough that we should be looking for their signatures? Probably not without a lot of research. So I would say take it to somebody who knows the language. You'll get a feel for whether it's just, love letters or business letters or something dry, or if it is about some subject that could be really relevant and interesting to people. Because if it is, then you may be sending that piece back to you, that collection back to Europe, and that's might be a different value level than if it's a bunch of love letters and a stamp collector is buying it because it has cool stamps on it.
I have nothing. George is just gonna blow us away tonight. All right. Chris, thank you. Christopher, I buy Chit $49.99 super chat and said, my gosh, you have an all-star panel tonight. Yes, we do. Some great people on with us. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you. Everybody knows Dalton does it. He's like, Mom, is this how you make a heart? Dalton's very cute when he does it. Thank you so much. Here is your dolphin. I really appreciate it, Chris. Gino said he was at Renninger's but got sick. I'm so sorry to hear that, Gino. I hope next one we can meet you for sure. I would love to meet you in person. And thank you again for my dolphin. Cora's Corner wants to know if any of us use Scot's Flex Seal, and if so, how do we like it?
No, I don't.
I probably Flex Seal way more things in my life than I probably ever should, and it's magical.
Not for reselling.
Not for reselling, just in my personal life, but that stuff's pretty magic. And the commercials are catchy. What can I say?
I got nothing because I don't even think I know what Scot's Flex Seal is.
Nikki, tell us about it. What do you use it for?
You can literally use it for anything. Like, there's so many. They have tape, they have spray. Like, I could do an entire infomercial on how to use all of this. It is pretty legit. It does not work on water. You see those commercials of them slapping it on a barrel and it sealing water, or it doesn't do that. It is not that magical.
So is it like a tape?
They have tape, and they also have it's almost like a gel foamy kind of stuff. It honestly kind of reminds me of spray foam. If you get the foam one, it's pretty cool. It doesn't expand as well, but it does do the job. I use it for all kinds of crafty stuff, or I don't know. It's kind of like Gorilla Tape. Have you ever used Gorilla Tape?
No.
It's just very, very strong, durable duct tape is the best way I can explain it. It's great. You should buy some for yourself.
Now I'm going to have to try it. All right, Miss Dory. Hello. I picked up a tote of greeting card stickers and other papers. I purchased the whole tote for $5. What's the best way to know if anything has value?
Most of those, I blow through them pretty quick. I go through and make sure that there's no age. You don't have linen cards or something, that gets back pre-war. Outside of that, if they were all modern, I don't know that I would know enough or have the patience to go through it to find out.
I would say look for dates and Google Lens. Google Lens is my life. If Google told me it was good, then I might look into it. If not, sadly, I would probably just toss it back and skipsies.
Yeah, I think look at your subjects and go through really quickly. Are the graphics really amazing? Is there something that's hand drawn in the pile? Is there something that's really special or jumps out at you as being a lot older than everything else? I mean, honestly, a lot of that stuff, I had 2 bags of it at Renegers, and I would have happily sold them for $5 and nobody even looked at them. There are a lot of those, and a lot of them are really, really, really common. So, you might just have to use a little bit of your own sense of, this one stands out from the rest because, or the subject is of a certain thing. Sometimes, honestly, the ones that catch people by surprise, some of the ones from the 60s and 70s, if they're a little bit tawdry, some of those actually sell for pretty good money individually on eBay now.
Yeah, and like the Lisa Frank sells for really good money too, so I would look for that. I had a hard time selling greeting cards, so in my experience, it's like the really vintage, like Valentine's cards, Christmas cards, like holiday, the graphics is what seems to sell to me. If they're just kind of ho-hum and plain, I had a hard time. I have some on my desk, and what I've done, because I occasionally will get the sale on Etsy, they're like, can you put in a happy birthday to whoever, and it's a gift. So I just keep the cards on my desk, and I have like birthday cards. I pull them out and I'll put them in the Etsy sale. And there's like miss you cards. So I just ended up keeping them. It was really hard for me to sell them. So now I'm very, very hesitant unless I see those graphics that I think will sell to pick them up, because I've tried and I wasn't very successful even in lots. Finders, flippers, reseller. Did you guys get scammers on Posh and Mercari when you first started? I just started cross-listing there, and I've had people wanting to communicate with me outside of the platform, which I have not.
I don't do Mercari because somebody told me not to do Mercari, and they would never do Mercari again. But I haven't done Mercari. But on Poshmark, you'll occasionally see that somebody will leave a comment and say, "Hey, please contact me at such and such." I report them and move on. They don't get to be a part of my life.
Yeah, we get it on. I mean, a lot of people think that once you develop standing on a platform, that scammers go away, but they don't. I mean, we still occasionally on Poshmark and on eBay get those kind of scammers trying to take transactions off. We just flag them, report them, and move on. We get all kinds of scammers.
Awesome links.
Weird links that you don't want to click on, but yeah, it never stops. It gets better, but it doesn't stop. But I found that on every platform.
Yeah, definitely. It happens everywhere. It happens on eBay. I have my policy is just to say I'm not allowed to communicate with you outside of the platform about an item I've listed on the platform. A problem I'm having, and it's well-meaning and is not an issue in any way, except I'm trying to direct people away from it, is I have a lot of viewers who, for some reason, they don't figure out how to go into my description to find how to communicate with me by email and other ways. And they send me questions about items on eBay or questions about something they saw in a video. And I'm like, please don't get me in trouble with eBay. I can't talk to you about stuff that isn't on eBay either. So that's actually what I run into more than people who are trying to scam. It's people who are well-intentioned. So I've had a couple of times, though, recently where eBay could not solve a problem for someone who I knew was a buyer, a regular buyer of mine. And eBay ended up canceling the sale. And they're like, I still want the item. And then I'm like, well, you know, we'll start over again with a new listing, or we'll deal with it in some other way. So there are times, but it has to be somebody I personally know and have dealt with. Otherwise, no.
Yeah, and on Posh, I get them all the time, and it's only on expensive items that they do it, like $100, $200, $300 items. Mercari, I don't get a ton, and eBay, I really don't get, like, I don't get any on eBay anymore, but Posh, I get them all the time, but only on high dollar items. And I do, like Scott said, I just report them and move on. Like, you guys know they're spam, just like ignore them. They're gonna, like in Posh, I have thousands of sales and they still keep coming. They don't care. They have to try, I guess. I think it's probably bots, though. I don't think it's like an actual person. It's bots searching for expensive items, trying to get you to communicate. And I guess if you have expensive items, they think they can dupe you out of a lot of money. I don't know. All right. Deborah wants to know, she already knows for me. She's saying she already knows, so I don't get to answer this one. Do you in and sell similar? And if you do, how often? And she knows that I do not do this.
I don't do it. I did try it a couple of years ago. I gave it a good faith effort where I would choose, say, 20 items a week and end those and sell similar. It made no difference whatsoever. Normally, if I've got something that's stale, it's because I picked up something crappy and it isn't going to sell. It isn't because the listing got old or anything.
That's kind of what we find too. We do not end and sell similar anymore. Yes, we did at one point. But kind of like Scott said, most times if it's just something that's not selling, it's probably because we broke our sell-through policy and decided to splurge on something we shouldn't have. 9 times out of 10, it's women's clothes that we just thought looked cute and we really shouldn't have purchased. And we kind of learn our lessons on that. We do kind of take mental notes of what those things are just to not purchase them in the future or to do better at kind of restricting those purchases. But we haven't found that selling similar and ending items has really helped us any. So we do not anymore.
We also have a new way of like marking down items that are 90 days or older. And for me, I kind of need to know when it was listed. So I actually prefer knowing if an item is older. And when you do a sell similar, it creates a new listing. So it creates a new start date. So we don't do it anymore because we have like a new procedure for that.
Yeah, again, same thing. Tried it a few times, didn't work, didn't make a difference. It's more work, so why do it? Oh, and
look, I have a panel that they all agree with me. Sorry, George. I'm like so excited.
Oh, no. I agree with you. Absolutely. I was just going to tell you, you have a super chat or some sticker or something. Okay.
I see it. I'm doing good because I'm starring, so I can keep scrolling because I know I already starred the questions up higher, and that is working well. So M. Jane wants to know, and I don't, Scott, you're not on Whatnot, right?
Well, even if I was, most of my followers are thin.
What are you saying?
You have to have large followers.
I see it. Oh my gosh. Listen. and George is clapping for it. Listen.
Yeah. I apologize. No, I don't do Whatnot.
Listen, you remind me, Clay does that. So Clay comes into the members' lives, and anything I say that can be taken out of context, he is in my members' live. like he is on it like dad jokes. I'm like,
it took me a long minute to figure out what the heck was going on and like what he was talking about, and then it hit me, and I was like, I got it. Just delayed
I think you got it before I did because your hand was up before it. Like
there was a sign when I was in Duluth, Minnesota, and it said "huge women's shoes" and with an arrow, and I thought, man, that guy's wife is going to be so mad.
Oh my gosh! Do you guys sell on Whatnot, Cayley and Nikki?
See, every time I bring up Whatnot, my subscribers want to leave my channel. So we haven't started it yet. Everyone's sick of hearing about Whatnot on my channel. I can give you some input on that. I'm going to give you some input on that. That would be great. So Whatnot did reach out to us, and I'm like set up to do it, but we just have not found the time yet to do it, to try one. But we do want to try at least a couple live sales with Whatnot just to kind of see how it works, see if it would work for us. I'm going to guess that it probably won't work as well for us with my business model, but it is something we're willing to try. We just haven't yet.
Business model. That is the key word as far as I can tell. I started doing Whatnot about a year ago. I did it a few times. I haven't really been doing it lately. It's very efficient. It's great if you have a lot of stuff that you want to sell very quickly in a category. It is, I guess business model. If you're buying like cat and you're paying 20 or 25 cents on the dollar for things, then you can make money on Whatnot and do just fine. I am not seeing a lot of categories yet in vintage and antiques where you can expect to get full retail, however. So if you're going in thinking that you're going to get maybe what you might get on eBay or Poshmark or Etsy or those things, Kat will correct me to the extent that is correctable on this because she does a lot and it's working very well for her. For me, honestly, I felt like I was going to sell a whole lot of jewelry for $5 each, which was fine because I was selling stuff I got for $1 or $2, but it wasn't really enough profit to motivate me to want to do that as opposed to other things and other places I could sell.
Yeah, and I want to put this up real quick from Vintage Chick 64 saying followers do not equal sales on Whatnot. And I do agree with that. So I go into some sterling sellers and they are blowing my prices out of the water. And I have 3 times the people in my sales as they do. I think that you don't necessarily, let me throw this back up here. You don't necessarily need a large group of followers, but you need to find the right people that are buyers. That's going to be the key. I typically, most of my sterling pieces I can get for $5 or less of smaller pieces, not like my name brand J King. And I started pretty much at what I paid. So like my show that I did immediately before this, I started most of them at $10 because I handpicked them at Renninger's and they were by weight. And most of them I paid 10 or a little bit more for them because I was not buying a giant lot of sterling. So when I buy giant lots, I get them for $5 a piece. I get lucky and get some great pieces that will sell for more. You just have to keep doing it. So my thing, it's really hard and I'm really hesitant to give advice on Whatnot because I have the followers. So I am not in your shoes. I do have like an audience that came with me over to Whatnot, but I also am hoping to be building more buyers. A lot of my viewers are sellers. They're not buyers. So yes, there are some deals on my shows that they can resell. Like I sold a Tiffany Elsa Peretti crab tonight. Probably about $200 of room for whoever bought that to resell it. But I still made a good profit. So if you start if you don't have many followers, I would start at the lowest you're willing to take, just like if you were going to throw it on an eBay auction. So if you really want $10 for that sterling piece, start it at $10 and either they buy it or they don't, but do it just like eBay. Start it at the same, but you have to be, and again, I'm so hesitant doing this because I'm not in those shoes. I like started and have 100 people in each show. So my years and years of work to build a following is now paying off in the respect of Whatnot. But I have seen, and I talk about her all the time, and she actually was a viewer before I found her on Whatnot. Sanford and Son on there has amazing sales and amazing followers, and she had 0 social media. So can you build it? Absolutely. And I told Marsha to reach out to her because I don't feel like I'm that helpful and insightful for those of you without followings, if that makes sense, because I haven't been in those shoes. So it's super hard for me to look at that. But I would say bring good items, keep bringing them. I saw today, I brought all sterling and my sales average tripled from last week. Surprise. So that means, Kat, if you bring better stuff, you'll make more money. Not all the time, but just a general rule. So I would say just keep doing it. I actually think for people without a bunch of followers, giving them a choice and putting up what they want is better than you running a ton of things they don't want. If you only have a few people in the audience, do a sweep, show them what you have, and then run what they want. That's what I think I would do if I didn't have a ton of people in there, because I know I have 100 people in there. Pretty much I sold every piece. I've sold every piece almost every show. And last week I started a fun thing. I did $1 clearance. If it didn't get bids, I ran it for $1 at the end of the show and just got rid of it. We didn't have to do that on any today though. So you don't have to have them. You just have to find the few. And some of those people getting more money than me only have 15 people in their show. And they're making more money than I am on similar pieces. So they have found the right buyers, or the right buyers have found them. And that just takes time. I feel like I'm almost talking in a circle. Yeah. And so Vintage Chick 64 says, I made more this month than eBay and Mercari combined. No social media following. And she buys like me. So she buys big lots. She's in cheap per piece. And she doesn't have a social media following. It can be done. Yes, George.
You've got 2 more.
Okay, I'm going to give MJ hers before I forget after my circle of talking. So maybe Vintage Chick, if you could help, I'm volunteering you because you commented and now I've got you. Vintage Chick, also Sanford and Son, both with no social media following, both being successful on Whatnot. Reach out to them because they're the ones I feel like can help you more than me because they've been in your shoes. So here is your Joe, yes, exactly that Tiffany crab. I think you can make about $200 more than you paid for it. Yes. Miss Joe Childress is who won that. Miss Linda sent us $2. I think that's a super sticker, I believe. Thank you, Katie. Here is your dolphin. Dun, 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 dun. Beach Walker. Beach Walker buys all my beach jewelry. And I love her. And don't take her. Don't tell her you have beach jewelry. Beach Walker says, thank you to all in the panel. Priceless information. I now have 2 inventory boxes and I'm feeling good about the new label printer. Yay! So I found that new label printer for $99 and it's perfect. I print all my little stickers on it, and a lot of people have gotten it because my Amazon affiliates was like a flat line and now it's a mountain. And I'm like, yay. Because I don't remember to promote that. It's it's trying to remind people to hit the thumbs up. I always forget. So, so here's my input real quick as far as Whatnot. Because I do think a lot of people are tired of seeing it because it has been pushed and pushed and pushed on social media. So I have found I just integrate it into my videos. My one video I did on just Whatnot went sucked. So I just I found if I just, because I'm excited about it, I really love it. So I just talk about it in my regular videos. And most of the time I do it near the end where I know it's my faithful subscribers that I know love me and are going to be okay with it. I found that works better. That's what I was going to say to you guys. Rather than at the beginning, or I might talk about I like to wear I was wearing the Tiffany crab in my video yesterday, and showing if you guys are doing clothes, showing what you would be selling. I think kind of integrating it and not being in your face, which I feel like a lot of it is, helps a lot more. That's what I was going to say about that. Beach Walker, thank you for the super chat and for buying all my beach jewelry. I appreciate you. She was at work today. Whoops. Okay, here's your dolphin. All right, Mama Beth said too. So, and I do, she said she loves, I put up pictures of everything I'm selling so they can research, like if they're reselling, and I put my starting bid, and if resellers want to get it, they can look it up. Like the Tiffany crab, I had a Judith Ripka ring today, so that way people could research. And there, a lot of them, there's like $50, $100 of room, and I just start them at what I got them for. I see another one, Miss Linda. Since you have first started selling as a reseller, what type of item have you weaned yourself off from because it didn't sell for you?
I started on eBay selling lumber. Like I have a lumber mill and I would mill mesquite lumber. And so I didn't wean myself off of it because it doesn't sell, because it sells like crazy as fast as I could list it. But shipping became so unbearably expensive that I don't ever sell it anymore because the cost of shipping has just killed it. And like when you're shipping lumber, you also have some regulations that you have to be aware of, depending upon where you're shipping it to. So, but I don't ever sell it anymore, but not because it didn't sell. It's just the percentage I was making versus the percentage of the cost of shipping is changed drastically since the late 90s.
Can I go first?
I'm gonna pick something kind of along the lines of Scott, just because I was trying to think if there was anything kind of specific that I stopped selling. I'm still pretty new to reselling, let's be honest. I've been at it for almost 2 years, just shy of being with Cayley, and I'm just gonna say what I refuse to buy because it's a pain in the butt, and that is home goods. Cayley loves to sneak home goods stuff in my cart all the time. And anything that's glass makes me cringe because 9 times out of 10, I have to use way too much bubble wrap. And I wrap it and I'm like anxious until it shows delivered, and I have to follow the tracking, and I panic that it's going to shatter, and then we're going to have to send it back. I know there's a lot of money in glassware, but I will save that for somebody else just so that I'm not anxious the entire time.
Yeah, I would say one for me that I've weaned not only myself off of, but my team who helps source, is we kind of just started saying no. There are obviously always exceptions, but we kind of started saying no to women's sleeveless and short sleeve tops at the thrift store. And that was mainly because we were just spending a lot of time going through that section and not coming out with very many items. So I guess it's not even to say it doesn't sell for us. It was just the amount of time it was taking to source those items to us was not worth it when we could be going to another thrift store and looking for better categories. So that's one for me I've kind of steered away from.
They weren't substantial enough.
It's interesting you bring up fashion, of course, because I don't deal in a lot of it. But in terms of vintage fashion, I learned a long time ago to stop buying knitwear. They just did not want knits from me. Didn't matter how cute they were, just could not sell that. But in terms of things very recent, and it's so funny, I have one sitting right here in my pile of inventory that I just got today, and this came to me blind. I got a big, I'm sitting, it looks so sparse in my picture, and I have just piles of stuff all over because I've been unpacking and filming all day. But one of the things that I unpacked, and this came from an organizer, so she just packed anything that looked good. So we'll find some way to sell it. But I am starting to avoid this, believe it or not. And why is because it has this neat little Murano label. And you're like, but Murano's really hot. Why would you avoid that? They are sticking this particular label all over all sorts of glass made everywhere in the world now. And even in Venice, I think it was 60 Minutes, they did an expose a few months ago about people ordering glass from Eastern Europe and then peeling these little red labels and sticking them on all of it because Murano is really hot. And that is a really good way to kill a trend in collecting. I've seen it happen before. So I am avoiding anything with this label at this point, unless I absolutely feel confident. I don't think this has the quality of Murano. It's lumpy.
It doesn't look like it.
It does not look like it. It looks like Chinese or Eastern European that somebody stuck a label on. So that's my new one that I'm starting to avoid.
Yeah, so for me, and a lot of people might be shocked to hear this, but I haven't really been wanting to pick up the big items, and I think I'm getting spoiled selling all this jewelry on Whatnot, and it goes in little poly mailers and off it goes. But also like DVDs, I make profit on them, but then there's like hundreds of them sitting here for years. So I'm being a little more particular with the big lots. And like today, I went and bought out the rest of the Harley from the yard sale I went to 2 weekends ago. And he had a seat, a Harley seat, which is big, but the actual model number wasn't on eBay. So since I couldn't find it, even though most of them are expensive, he said, well, I have someone on Craigslist who wants it and they'll pay me to ship it. I was like, let him have it. And then he's like, Kat, if you buy the motorcycle seat, I'll give you the handlebars for free. And I had told him, I'm like, take the handlebars off my list because they're like 4 feet long. And I'm like, no. So I did go. I was like, I don't want the seat. I don't want the handlebars. Well, because I couldn't find the exact model, if I had found that exact model selling for $400, I would have. So it's really hard sometimes, yes, Harley seats are worth money. It was a genuine Harley seat, but I could not find that model anywhere, listed or sold. So when you can't find that, sometimes, so I behaved, and they're really, really nice people. And they had like $40 and $60 on leather jackets that sold for less than that. And I was like, why don't you guys just put them on Craigslist? I don't want to lowball on their price, even though I know, like, I even showed them, like, look, this only sells for $30 on eBay. Once I have the fees, like, I can give you maybe $10 for this jacket you want $60 for. And I told him to keep them. So for me, a lot of, like I said, the DVDs, I would still buy the Harley pens. But I think media, unless I'm buying individual and know it's a good one, I've steered away from more media lots because you can get those all day long. I bought one big one of 700 DVDs, and that kind of burned me out on it. So, yeah. All right, let me give you your dolphin. Thank you, Miss Linda, for the super chat. Here you go. Dun, dun. Nobody can see me dancing now but Katie. Haha, because nobody can see behind. Okay. Ricochet Vintage Finds says, I do not offer international shipping. Will you please explain the process, how to find it, and the pros and the cons?
For me, I used to ship international. When the global shipping program, when eBay put that out, I started using that, and I like it. It's super easy. And so all you have to do on that is check the box that you want to do international shipping and the global shipping program. For currently, when you do that, it goes to Erlanger, Kentucky. As they roll out the new eBay international shipping, then it's going to go to Chicago. But for you, there's no customs forms. There's none of that. It doesn't change your shipping. You don't make less. They charge a little bit for it right now when you make an international sale, but even that will go away with the new eBay international shipping. So I like it. I mean, for me, it was just extra money.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I know that I could ship directly somewhere, but just for me, the ease of use of using eBay's international shipping program is better for me because it, like he said, it's just a one-click thing and then you're covered. We currently use the eBay global shipping program, and we also turn on, for most of the items, a secondary eBay international standard shipping, which is like basically the same thing. But as Scott said, there's a new one coming out. I actually just started looking into that today, but for us, whatever the platform is offering is probably what we're going to go with. I understand that we probably could make more sales if we ship directly, but it's kind of like printing labels on pirate ship and stuff. It's just better for us to have it in one place and just everything be streamlined.
It helps with seasonality too. So especially if you do like clothing or like, I don't know, we talked about Christmas bulbs, things like that earlier. If there's certain, I guess, brands or certain let's call them styles or like categories of products that you have that fit a certain seasonality or a certain region or so on and so forth. Having international shipping can also really help promote those specific items to the right buyers. It also expands your buyer base as well.
Well, and Scott's being very modest because everything I know about the new program is what I learned when I watched his video that he put out recently about it. And he's got a great video that will tell you all about what to expect. And it definitely sounds a lot better and improved over some of the problems I had in the early days with it, to the point where I might actually consider offering international shipping again, which I have not done for a while.
Mark made a comment, OG and Z, in the chat that it's going to be cheaper for the customer. Right now, the global shipping program is all of the customs and all of that stuff are prepaid. And you know that if eBay is prepaying them, they're making a profit on that portion too. And they're going to let the customer choose whether or not eBay will pay those customs forms for them. But in the end, it can be a lot cheaper for the customer to use the new system that they're going with.
Yeah, I need to watch Scott's video. I'm not well informed on it, but I agree with him. I just have the one I do. So like Cayley and Nikki, I do standard international if it's $100 or less. I used to do $50. Now I do $100. If it's $100 or less, I do standard international. If it's over $100, I do global shipping program, because both of them have insurance, but global shipping is automatic, and standard international, you have to fill out a 3-page form that I know I am not going to fill out. I will just write it off as a loss and go about my business. I've only had to do that once. So yeah, that it's easy though. It's really easy. Scott, I think only one of us needs to answer this. I don't know if you know the answer. Is there a way to get reports of year-to-date sales on eBay?
Yes. Yeah. You can go through your seller hub and go to your sales, and you might have to have it emailed to you. Like, I think they can email you the report.
I think you have to have it turned on though. And if you don't, you can't see further back than 90 days, which my accountant hated the first year. So I would recommend, and I will tell you, November is not a good time to ask this question. You should be downloading monthly sales reports and keeping records of them. My accountant does it for me. But a lot of times they've changed some new reports, so there might be some that will. But before, it wouldn't let you see, especially detailed. You're not going to see past 90 days. So you should be Scott's going to go look. You should be downloading monthly, because a lot of times you can't. Do you guys know anything different than that? Cayley, Nikki, George?
No, I think you're correct on like the 90 days. I'm not sure, because to be honest, I haven't looked at an eBay invoice in a long time, longer than I'd care to admit, because I just look at the like seller performance tab and pull reports from there. But I think that maybe the eBay detailed invoice might have some of that information that you might still be able to pull if you go look at your invoice, possibly.
I pulled
What
it
do you
up.
see, Scott?
I just set the counter to that day. So like I'm
To
looking
January?
I pulled up a comparison between last year and this year for the same period. So back to January.
It might have
1st.
improved. It might have improved since I looked. I don't do any of that. I don't lie to you guys about that. My accountant does all of it. I don't look at
My sales haven't improved.
I don't know. Mine are probably up. Mine are down right now from last month. They're down 35%.
For your eBay is to start a YouTube channel. Like, it takes so much time that it's a sale killer.
It is. It is. All right. Miss Vicky wants to know, how do I send coupons to my followers and those who leave me feedback?
I don't know. I've never used the coupons, and I should. I just never have.
We just started using them. Maybe somebody can answer like better detailed, but it was really easy. You just go to like the marketing tab, and you're able to create a coupon under promotions, and then later on you could send those to different like buyer groups. And I mean, I haven't dug deep into it, but it seemed pretty spelled out. Does anybody have any more detail than that? We just started using it.
No, I've never used the coupons. I'm sure that there's a time and place for it, but my business, every piece of inventory is discrete, and it just seems like it's more about finding that customer or that customer finding it as opposed to price promotion.
Yeah, and I don't really use them either. I think it could be a good thing. I haven't used them though, because I run constant sales and send offers to watchers. I mean, I don't know that it would hurt necessarily. I tried it once, but that was it. It's just getting into new habits, and I have so much going on already. It's just adding another thing to my plate. And like I haven't lost my listers, but I did lose one of my listers, and another one hasn't listed in about 2 months. And my daughter, as I said, just got back on the wagon this week. So my help has been at a very all-time low level. So I haven't had time for much. And eBay has been neglected. All right. Miss April / Renee PA, just wondering everyone's opinion on the thought that if you don't promote your items, eBay will curb your sales because you're not paying extra.
You know, I am promoting my sales right now, and I have tried not promoting my sales. I have tried promoting my sales at a ridiculously high rate. What I would tell you is whatever you do, you don't promote at a high rate and stop it all of the sudden. Like then eBay will be like, I hate you and all your family and your ancestors. But I normally run just a very, very small percentage. Experimenting with higher percentages didn't really help me very much. Most of the items I sell are vintage, one of a kind. So I'm not really competing with anybody. If you're in a saturated market, it might make more of a difference. But if I've got the only late 1800s equestrian dress headset, I don't need to pay a promoted listing.
Yeah, kind of just to piggyback off of what Scott said, but definitely anything you start and stop abruptly on eBay kills you, whether that's like promotions, markdown sales, big changes in your store. It just, for whatever reason, shakes things up too much, and it does kill you for a little bit. We personally, with our business model, we focus on a high sell-through rate model. As we mentioned, we sell, clothing, shoes, and accessories. But when we're picking up items, we are focusing on 100% sell-through rate within 90 days. So we choose not to promote within the first 90 days, typically, because we've done the research education for that item that we believe it should sell without anything extra. After 90 days, if the item still hasn't sold, whether that's, we picked up a bad item, maybe it wasn't the right size, maybe we listed it incorrectly, or maybe we did have a price too high, at that point, we do look at promoting items. And what I'll tell you is, you can pull a listing quality report from eBay, and it'll tell you exactly what categories perform well that you have with promoted listings, and it'll actually tell you an exact percentage for that category. And so after 90 days, we kind of pull that quality listing report and start digging deep into those numbers to promote. But in general, if you're picking up good items, even ones that aren't necessarily rare or one of a kind, if you've done the research and you've priced it correctly, in my opinion, it should sell without a promotion.
I have tried both ways. I felt that for a while the promoted listings were working, and then there were changes with eBay. Oh gosh, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months ago. I can't quite remember now. And it seemed like it stopped working, and it seemed as if I was going to have to spend more money on promotion. And when I looked at what I was getting relative to what I was spending on the promotion, for me, it didn't really work out. And again, I think it's because I mainly do vintage and antique. And like Scott said, you're dealing with things that are fairly unique. And like Nikki and Cayley said, if you do your research and put it out in the right price range and are willing to take that, there's so many different pricing strategies. A lot of people want to price at the top of the market, and they're more likely perhaps to need to promote the listings. On the other hand, Kat promotes listings and does very, very well. So let's let her tell us how she does it and why.
So, I promote everything and I promote everything high, whether I'm the only one of the item or there are 100 of them. And my thought process behind this, and I agree, like, do not turn them on and then turn them off. That is the worst thing you can do. I see Steffers asking, how long does it keep killing you for? I would say probably like a month for it to kind of get back in the groove with you turning it off. So if you're promoting high, lower it slowly, like 1 or 2%. Don't go. I chopped it in half one time. Ooh, did I get my hand slapped? I was not a happy camper. So my thought behind it is I buy so low. I am a low buyer. I think everybody knows that. I get a ton of stuff for $1. Is that I'm not spending the money buying, so I'm okay paying an extra 10%, which honestly a lot of times just puts me equal to Poshmark fees. So if you're Poshmark seller, you're paying 20% anyways. So I am okay promoting because I pay $1 for a lot of items. So I get more sales because of promotions. And the thing with only having one of them is you're promoting your whole title. So like if they're searching for something similar, because you promoted, even though you have the only one of that item, it might pop up in front of somebody looking for something else and they might buy it. So even if they're not looking for that rare one item, something in your title might come up high in a search of something else, and then you get that sale. So I mean, I'm saying I'm down, but I think I'm still at $13,000 this month. I'm pulling it up real quick. Almost 12,000. So I'm at $12,000 this month. That's without listing. I've not really listed the whole month and I made 12,000 in sales. But I put years of work into this, 3 years of 20 to 50 items a day. I have 6,000 listings. So it's starting to taper off, but I got lucky. If you saw my Monday video, I had a $62 average. I had a lot of $100 items sell. So I didn't have that many sales. It was about half what I normally have, but it was more like money wise because I had a higher dollar average. So if I'm paying $5 selling it for 100, I'm okay giving them an extra $10 if I'm getting more of those $100 sales. So that's kind of my thought behind it. Like my clothes that I get, I have 3 thrift stores that are an hour from me that have dollar clothing. Like almost everything is $1. I can go find tons of stuff for $1 and I'm okay. Jewelry, I will tell you, you have to promote high. I'm not listing my jewelry on eBay anymore, though. It all goes on Whatnot. But jewelry is so saturated from China. You get these $1, $2 items. I have no clue how they're shipping it for free from China, but they are. And you're competing with that you have to promote high. So to answer your technical question, are they curbing your sales? They're not curbing them, but you're sure as heck not getting any extra without promoting. So promoting gives you extra, I feel like. But if you're doing like Cayley and Nikki and, you know, really researching and getting 100% sell-through rate, you're going to have a lot of sales regardless. And a lot of people have more than 100% sell-through rate. I don't, because I want to buy what I like and I'm okay with it sitting here for a year. You know, because I've kind of got to that point in my business, I can do that. And yeah, so you would get more, I think. Not if you're buying stuff that doesn't sell, though, it's not going to matter how high you promote it. I should preface all of that with that it doesn't matter if it's stuff that nobody wants, no matter how much it's promoted. Scott, you want to grab Scott is the man tonight. I heard GSP eBay International will repack items. Am I wasting my bubble wrap to put copious amounts if they repack anyways?
The GSP has been doing more repacking. The new one will not be doing that unless something comes through that is obviously poorly packed. They're not going to be repacking all the items. I think they verify what's in there because, you know, they're putting their name on it and shipping it overseas, but they are not going to be repacking all of the items. They made that very clear in the thing I sat through.
Yeah, and even if they are repacking it, I don't think you're wasting it if you need them to get it to them safely. I think that should be, you still have to get it to them safely. The only difference for me for GSP is some items that I would normally put in a poly, if they're going international, I might put them in a box. That's like the only difference for me. Other than that, they get tons of, you see my bubble wrap. I have a loft full of bubble wrap. Other than that, they get copious amounts of bubble wrap, whether it's going in the US or internationally. I don't know who's on Mercari. Sapphire wants to know, I'm still wary of not putting in dimensions for Mercari packages that are over 1 cubic foot. Who is paying for that? Mercari? ?
We do not sell on Mercari anymore. We were looking at jumping back into it maybe sometime next year, but we are not currently back into Mercari, so I actually can't answer that question for you.
George, you're not on there, right?
I don't think we have anybody on the panel who's currently selling there.
I am.
Even when we did Mercari, we ended up shipping through Pirate Ship. We didn't use Mercari shipping. We always just shipped through Pirate Ship instead. So as far as like the over cubic foot, we wouldn't be able to tell you specifically. We do have a couple things that are still on there. But honestly, even with what we've had on there for like ever, it hasn't sold. So we just kind of stopped putting our effort into that. But maybe look at pirate shipping and see what that looks like in comparison to Mercari shipping. I'm not sure.
No, so what she's talking about, because I sell a bunch of big stuff too, Mercari does not make you put the dimension. So where on eBay it might cost $30 because of the dimensions, on Mercari it only costs $10. I would not be wary of it because that is a loophole that I love to take advantage of. And the answer is yes, Mercari's the one footing the bill. And until they fix it and make us put dimensions, I have no problem not putting them. If it says optional, I am not putting it. I've had friends buy stuff for me on there because I know they're not going to make me put dimensions. And I'm sending my friend a 24 by 24 inch box and I'll make them a listing. And Mercari, they need to fix the loophole. And until they do, I will continue to take advantage of it. I'm not going to lie. Like, they don't make me put them. And if I can save my customers money with no repercussions, and there are none, because they're not requiring you, they're not telling you have to tell them. I am not going to, but yes, Mercari is who is footing the bill for that. And I'm okay with that. And it's funny, you guys said nothing's been selling. I've had 3 Mercari sales since we started tonight, and I haven't gotten any in a week. So somebody like flipped the light switch on Mercari since we went live. And I've had 3 sales on Mercari since we went live. I haven't had any in forever, and I've just gotten 3. So somebody flipped a switch. But Mercari's my lowest selling platform. It used to be Etsy. And now it's been Mercari. Poshmark has been on fire for me. Poshmark has been doing excellent. I've been very, very happy with Poshmark lately, and it's not clothing. It's, it's been Christmas knickknacks and Christmas ornaments, and some of it I sold a scarf, but most of it's been non-clothing items for me on there.
Almost.
Can I address something in the chat real quick?
Yeah, Scott.
You've got Wendy Nicholson is like, hey, I already stopped all of my promotions. If you have already stopped all of your promotions, whatever impact that's going to have, going back now and adding them all back in is probably not going to make a massive difference, in my opinion. And it may not impact you much at all. It's going to vary a lot. Sorry, but that was the question.
So Vintage Chick is saying Mercari will send an adjustment 90 days later. I have never had that happen, ever. And I've done it. I told you guys I haven't been picking up big stuff, but I have never had them happen. Mark is saying Mercari's on fire for sales. Sorry, Nikki. What were you saying?
I was just going to say that we've had like a love-hate relationship. We were on Mercari for probably the whole first year that I was with Cayley, and it would have its moments. But like we might go like, I don't know, a whole month and not sell a single thing on Mercari. And we'd be in the car one day driving to go sourcing. And we'd be like, all right, this is it. we are not doing Mercari anymore. And then the next day we'd come in and they'd be like, you have 30 sales on Mercari. And we were like, what the heck?
Yeah.
We did this like love-hate relationship with it for so long because every time we almost gave in and we were like, all right, no more, then the magical sales happened. So I think it's kind of like Google. I think they hear you and they just magically sell things, and that's how they keep people on Mercari.
That's why you just had 3 sales.
Yep.
It heard
I
you.
know, right? Well, but see, my mom cross posts for me, and I pay my mom regardless of how much work she does. So I'm just gonna let her keep cross posting to all of them because I'm paying her regardless. So that's what happens. Tiger Allen Pride saying I've had a shipping adjustment twice with over 20,000 in sales there. And then people are saying they had credits for higher weights too. So I don't know how they decide that. And if you guys know, my video was very well viewed when I got pissed off and quit Mercari because they said I was selling fraudulent items when I wasn't. And they ended up apologizing to me. Facebook kicked me off. I got pissed at Facebook and went back to Mercari. That's like what happened there. So that's how I ended up back on Mercari. But you know, you never, like, Posh was slow too. And then the past few weeks, Posh has been great. Light Streamer wants to know, when I put an item on sale, does eBay notify watchers of that item?
Yes.
Yeah. And they do, which is good. So somebody asked, guys, I have 50 questions in the queue to answer, which there's no way we are getting to all of them. And I'm not going to have time to record an after hours questions because I'm going to the mountains after Thanksgiving. So somebody else asked like how I run the continuous sales. So they're basically shut off for 3 hours. So I run it Monday through Friday, like midnight Thursday. And then I start it over Friday morning at 6 a.m. and run it through Monday at midnight. This week I will do a higher percent, even though I will be in time away because I'm in the mountains. I will still allow sales and tell them I'll ship on Thursday when I get back. So I will run a Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. But it does notify them. So that means my watchers, every time I turn it off every 3 to 5 days and turn it back on, it's like, it'll notify them that it's been a price drop. So that's another reason to do that as well. This is just a statement. So Sapphire started using the eBay standard and said she's got an increase in international sales. You will, if you do eBay standard versus global, it's so much cheaper for your buyer. But they did refund her for a lost package. Lost packages with all of the services are a lot easier to get a claim approved on. If they lose it, they can't really fight that compared to if they damage it. Then it's a whole different story, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
Miss Belinda wants to know, individually boxed Christmas ornaments, how would you mail them?
What I do is I have a small box. If the ornament did not come in its own box, I have some really small boxes.
Scott has everything like right there. I mean, I guess I kind of.
If you want to organize your office, get a lazy guy to do it. Like, I don't ever have to leave my chair.
So he can roll around in the chair and get everything you want.
So I put and then I have a box that is larger than that it fits in. And I shipped probably in the last 12 months, I've probably sold somewhere between 100 and 200 ornaments. I bought this massive collection of Radco, and I did not have a single ornament arrive broken.
Pass.
Pass.
Well, when they say individually boxed, do they mean by piece, or do they mean they have a box of shiny brights that they want to try to get there intact as a box? Which to me is, again, you take the lid off the box and you tuck in very nicely all of the bubble and you put the lid in loosely, and then you just wrap the whole thing in a bunch of bubble, and it should get there as long as you do it tightly.
Yeah, so for me, okay, on both the shiny brights, I will tuck either tissue paper or small bubble wrap around them inside their, original box. And then I wrap the whole box in bubble wrap too and put them in a bigger box. As far as individual, like I shipped out an individual boxed little reverse painted ornament yesterday. I'm like Scott, I will use, I use my 8x6x4s because most of my ornaments are either, like 3-inch balls or they're longer and they fit in those 8x6x4s perfectly. And I just wrap them in a ton of bubble wrap. Bubble wrap is my friend. I know Mark and Richard have been dropping it. And I love Joel over at American Bubble Boy. We're BFFs because I go through some serious, like on Monday, I think we went through like 4 rolls of bubble wrap. So we go through a lot of it.
One quick note
the fragile is going.
About the ornaments, something that if you're going to sell ornaments or breakable things at Sam's, or I'm sure Costco has it too. I bought a box of the food wrappers, not the wax ones, the ones that are just the paper, and they're like 12 by 12, and there's like 500 of them in there for 12 or 15 bucks. And that kind of tissue paper works perfect for the small stuff, and it's easy to store.
Like
and
to tuck around it.
Right. And it doesn't have any print on it, doesn't have any color on it. And because I always worry about anything with color that it'll leave an impression on something. But I use a lot of that stuff.
All right. Fortnite. I see Katie left, so I'm on my own for now.
Well, George sent you a private chat with it.
Who did?
I did.
Oh, thank you, George. I just see it live and starred. Now I don't see the other thing. Oh, private chat. I see it.
Up above it, yeah.
I see it now. Thank you, George. So I'm not alone. I have George.
We're trying.
And Scott helping me. Thank you so much. Here is your Where did it go? Where like the chat just jumped. So Katrina said her birthday is today. Mine, yes, it is this coming Sunday. Happy birthday. And my name is your name. So my name is short for Katrina as well. So we have the same name as well. So happy birthday to the other Katrina. A lot of people don't know that, but yes, that is what it is short for. And happy birthday. Diane wants to know, can you add extra insurance on an item when you're listing it? Or do you add it when purchasing the shipping label?
I don't know that you can add it when you're listing. I've always added it when you're printing the shipping label, and you can't you can't add more than the cost of the item, or at least on eBay.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. And I put right in my listing that any item over $100 is going to have extra insurance, and it's not optional.
Yeah, and I do that as well because you're only covered to 100. I don't know if Cayley and Nikki know this. I don't send out a lot of offers on Mercari. There's Sapphire says regarding Mercari's make offer seems to let you send multiple offers to the same people every few days. Do you guys know what the rule for that is on Mercari?
I have absolutely no idea.
I know if you do the markdown, I thought they make you mark it down more, don't they? Like you can't send them another offer at the same price or something.
I think when you go to hit the offer button, yeah, I think it does, but it has been a while, so I can't say for sure.
Yeah, and I don't send offers on Mercari because it's my platform. Lynn wants to know if you can explain calculated shipping rule.
No, Lynn, I cannot. I don't use calculated shipping. I think everybody smarter than me does, but I pretty much know what most of my stuff is going to cost, and so I put a flat shipping in there, and I'm almost always within $1 or $2. I don't use calculated.
We love calculated shipping. We ship everything that way. And we just kind of have a general rule for shipping. Obviously, we do pretty much everything through USPS. Anything that can go first class does go first class. And then we kind of have a rule of thumb. If I can force fit it into a padded, it goes into a padded flat rate envelope. If it doesn't, we just leave it as priority. And then we just kind of make those decisions kind of on a case by case basis, depending on where they're going. We include photos of like the weight of the item, because we do sometimes have buyers reach out over like sticker shock from USPS, and they're kind of shocked that the prices have increased or whatever. And I think that that helps us kind of explain that sometimes to them and say, hey, this item weighs 13 ounces. It's first class. Like, this is the cheapest option we have for you, as far as shipping whatever it is, and letting them know kind of the basis for that. But we do calculated shipping for everything.
And just make sure, if you're going to use calculated shipping, one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they switch over is they forget to add the package weight. So weigh a box that you would generally use, and then weigh a poly mailer that you would generally use, and just make sure to add that to the weight of your item in your listing. That way it covers the entire package.
Yeah, as far as I see, I mean, I guess I always use calculated shipping because I send a lot of diverse different items. I travel, it might be going from a different place than it was the last time. And, you know, depending where they are, it could make a big difference in terms of the shipping. I like the calculated shipping because customers have some ability to choose what kind of shipping they want. If they're in a hurry and they want it priority, they can choose that. If they want it parcel select, they can choose that. A lot of times the parcel select is more than first class shipping on the same item and actually arrives later. So sometimes I take the liberty to correct it for them and help them out a little bit. But I like calculated shipping. I don't know exactly what she says when she means explain the rule. I don't know what the rule is. You just have to put the dimensions and the weight in, and it allows the customer to figure it out.
Yeah, and then it'll calculate from your zip code to theirs. Scott, I don't know if, like, Scott's in Texas, so he's kind of in the lower middle of the U.S. Being in the lower southeastern of the U.S., shipping can vary a lot, whether it goes on the East Coast or West Coast for us. So calculated shipping is just that. You're going to make sure you put in the correct dimensions and weight, and then eBay will calculate it for you by their zip code to your zip code. Kate sent a $4.99 super chat and said, happy birthday to me. I've learned so much from you. Kicking the linen. I love the linen. And Friday is a video on yarn, high dollar yarn. If you do not know, yarn can sell for a lot of money. So I did a research video on yarn. I know how exciting. It's exciting when you find it a lot for 50 cents or $1 at yard sales. What are you showing me? Oh, that's the liners. Here, I'll make Scott big for a second. Here is the food liners that Scott, oh, they're like basket liners for like hot dog baskets and stuff. Oh, and you get 1,000 for $22. That's pretty cheap.
Right. And I get the white ones. I get ones that don't have any print on them. And you have to check, because sometimes like Sam's will get fancy and they order the red and white checkered ones. I don't like those. I like the all white.
I want purple.
I just don't like the color, just in case. I don't want to get some mystery transfer or anything on there, but I keep those handy. First of all, I make a lot of breakfast burritos, and they're handy for that, but they're great for small items.
Perfect. Kate, thank you so much. Here is your dolphin. Dun, 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 dun. And Camille sent a $5 super sticker. Thank you so much. Yeah, 365 Vintage Hunter says she uses those liners. I never knew about those liners. See, I'm learning. Oh, Richard, are you there to get what I see? All right, let me give this super chat. One of my mods, please grab that for me. Thank you. Here is your dolphin. Dun, 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 dun. You also, and I always forget to mention this, if you have a newspaper near you, they sell the end of print rolls as far as using paper. I don't have anywhere near me. There's not a newspaper near me. So I I buy 1,000-foot roll, and I just bought it again, and I went and looked. I haven't bought it since December last year. So 1,000-foot roll lasted me, and I ship 100 plus a week. It lasted me a year, a 4-foot by 1,000-foot roll. So it lasted a while. Yes, George.
I wanted to add to that also that a friend of mine clued me in that if you are looking for free bubble wrap, go to a place that brings in auto parts, like an auto repair, like a collision repair garage, because most of the auto parts are wrapped in bubble wrap when they're shipped, and they usually just throw it away. And you also have another $2.99 from Richard, by the way.
I see it. I see Richard. Let me give Camille her. Did I give Camille her dolphin? I don't remember. Camille, you're getting another dolphin if I already gave you a dolphin. My memory is. Here you go. And finders, flippers, I think I did. Message me on Whatnot. I think it went through. Richard sent me $2 for birthday wishes. Thank you, thank you. I will be in the mountains. Yay. Chilling out. Making some jewelry. Listen, if you know me, I do nothing small. So I have 4 books and bags of rocks and wire and pliers, and I'm convinced I'm going to learn how to wrap gemstones. And if I don't, I'll be selling a very nice jewelry kit soon. That's all. All right, Richard, here's your dolphin. Dun, 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 dun. See, I'm always leery with expensive items on reusing bubble wrap. So for my like bubble wrap that comes in my boxes to me, I use it as filler instead of paper. I always use new bubble wrap just because I'm worried, especially if it's an expensive item. If it's not expensive, I'm okay reusing it. But if it's expensive, listen, Cheryl. Listen, Cheryl. Yeah, everybody says they love I seriously, I go through a lot of bubble wrap. You will have tons of extra bubble wrap if you buy something for me. 365 Vintage Hunter sent a $10 super chat and said, happy Thanksgiving to you all and your families. Love coming here to keep learning as a reseller and a YouTuber. Thank you. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys. We might not see, I will be on Whatnot tomorrow night, but if I don't see you there, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you all for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. And everybody's channel links too. I know we're not at the end, but everybody's channel links are down in the description. So if you're not, and Nikki, if you have a channel?
Nope, I'm just the package deal.
She's tag teaming it with me.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't need to add a link for her. All right. Here is your dolphin 365. Dun, 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 dun. Scott, what city are you in? Scott, I think you're muted. Are you doing that on purpose?
No, I was not doing that on purpose. I am in Penelope, Texas. If you know where Waco is, I am near Waco. If you know where the city of West is, I am east of West.
That's so great. Oh, all right. Is eBay doing away with regional boxes, and is that why it's not offered as a shipping option in my store? I am going to answer this because I have inside information. Sandy, Ozark Mountain Reseller, has the hookup inside of the USPS. And the answer to this question is yes. USPS is doing away with regional boxes. They will be no longer soon. And it is very possible, and I will update you guys as soon as I know, it is very possible the padded flat rates will also be going away. So from like top management at the post office, definitely no more regional, and very, very possible, it is not confirmed yet, no more. And that's the only flat rate I use is the padded flat rate envelope. So I will not be a happy camper about that. Yeah. April wants to know what you think of the new eBay listing tool if you have it.
I hate change. So like Melody and I talked about this the other day. I've been on eBay since 99, and every single change they've ever made, I've hated everybody and everything, except that when you fast forward 23 years from when I started, eBay is a much better platform than it was in 99. So some of the changes were good and I was in denial. So give me a year.
Pros and cons, what do you think? You definitely touch it more than I do.
So I definitely think it's still in the works. There's definitely still some lags and some issues that I think that they're still working through. But overall, I like that everything is kind of streamlined down the center. It's less like kind of back and forth. I always felt like when you were going through a listing, it was very like, I don't know, you're going through multiple sides, kind of jumping back and forth. And I always felt like I missed things. So I like that it's more kind of centered and streamlined all the way down. I like that it's got like the bubbles, and when it decides to auto populate from your title, it works great. And you can just kind of click on the different options and move pretty quick. It does have issues with lagging with like auto populate and things like that. Overall, I really enjoy more than anything the new bulk listing tools. I've really enjoyed those. They're a lot more user friendly. If you use List Perfectly, they're pretty similar to List Perfectly as far as like allowing inline edit and things like that. So for us, it's been a game changer for our business as far as bulk goes. Overall, I wish they'd worked the kinks out, but if they fixed it and it worked the way they think they intended, I would be 100% game. And I also, like Scott, hate change. So just give it a chance.
I think it seems fine. I mean, I thought it'd be a bigger adjustment than it was. And excuse me, the only thing I sometimes get annoyed with is, like you said about the auto populating. I list things in a lot of different categories. Some things seem like they put themselves in right away. Some things don't. I think the thing that annoys me the most is when you have a picture of the item and the item is clearly blue and it says it is required that you put the color of the item in. And I'm like, are they colorblind? I mean, what are they buying? So that one makes me scratch my head, but generally it seems fine.
Yeah, and I mostly list from my phone, so I'm not seeing the listing tool because you're only seeing it on the computer. But I do put my drafts live that my daughter lists from the computer. And the only issue I've had is it keeps taking out my zip code, which happened sometimes before, but it seems like it's happening more often now. And I will put the weight in and submit it, and it always makes me submit it twice. And it's driving me nuts. That's the only thing.
If you haven't noticed, we've noticed on the new listing tool, whenever you have a weight that is more than a pound and say, I don't know, it's like 2 pounds, 9 ounces, and you put in the 2 on the pound and then put whatever the ounces are, no matter what your shipping option is, it always kicks out the ounces and goes to just a flat 2 pounds. So if you do calculated shipping, that can be a huge kind of switch for you.
Yeah, because you need to up it.
Yeah, it could end up charging less. We kept noticing that our listings were getting flagged for like not having the correct shipping option. And I realized that that's what was going on. So we literally have to enter it, scroll to the bottom, scroll back up, and then add back those ounces again. So just kind of a shout out.
Yeah, and it also is putting everything for me, even if it's at 2 pounds, at first class.
Yeah.
Everything is getting first class, and I have to take it off and switch it to priority or ground. So, yeah. All right. Get It Vintage sent a $4.99 super chat. Question for George. How did you get started and why? You have such a vast depth of knowledge. It is impressive. And I agree. I just want to inject that.
Oh, well, thank you. The good news for everybody watching is when I started, I knew nothing about anything. And so anybody can learn what I know. I have done it a really long time. It helps. But I got started because I had a marketing degree. I graduated just in time for the stock market to crash. They said there aren't any jobs. You have to move to New York, LA, or Chicago. I didn't want to do that. And eventually I found a job with a couple who had a factory outlet mall, but their real love was their chain of antique malls. And it was before eBay. They advertised, they promoted them nationally, and they had the most amazing stuff back then because they were the top of the market before eBay came along and the dealers could sell directly to the public. And so because of that, I got to handle and see a whole lot of things that really you don't see out there so much anymore. Fast forward 10 years later, I went to appraisal school, and I was a backstage guest at Antiques Roadshow and saw what they did. And they said, you know, you could work as an associate appraiser. You just need to go to school. And so I did, and it's just been great. And I try to learn something new every day in this, and it's not hard to do. There's always something interesting. And that's why I like antique and vintage so much. It always keeps you challenged.
Yeah, and everything, I feel like there's always something new to learn. And I really think learning more helps you make more money, because the more you learn about stuff, the more you know about whether it's clothing brands or like pottery maker, the more you know, the more money you can make, because you could be walking right past so much money and not even know it. And that's my big thing for sure. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let me give you a dolphin, and then we have another one. And then we will answer maybe 2 more questions and then let everybody say bye. Here is your dolphin. And we have a member. Hi, Scott. Scott's wearing Joey's shirt. Joey didn't even message me, that little sucker. Listen, I sent him a bunch of extra stuff and a magnet with his sticker he ordered, and he didn't even, I just thought of that. I kept it. It's so funny because Joey came to my Orlando camp, and I've known Joey for a long time. Joey bought a Bing, and I found in a lot of magnets it said Joey San Francisco, and it's been on my fridge for I think over a year. And then Joey bought a sticker for me on Whatnot, and I was packaging it, and I'm like, the magnet. I like ran inside, got the magnet, threw it in with the sticker, and then Joey, I wonder if he's even opened it or if he's like me with 50 packages on his porch. All right, I'd flip that. Joe said he needs dolphins to celebrate. He hit 800 subscribers today. Yay! You're 80% of the way there. And then after that, subscribers don't matter except for like bragging rights. Other than that, it's all about the views. You will learn that in the long run. All right, Joe, I will give you eeny, meeny, miny. We'll give you Gino's dolphin so you can dance for your 800 subscribers. Congrats, and thank you so much for super chat. Chance, I thought you were already a member. I think something happened because like Dale was my longest subscriber, my good friend Flippin' Fiasco, and it said she resubscribed, and I messaged her on Facebook. I said, did you unsubscribe? And I saw like a ton of resubscribes, so I don't know what happened. Chance has been a member, but I'm gonna give you dolphin anyways, and then we'll answer questions, and then we will let everybody be free. Here is your dolphin.
Welcome to the flipping family.
All right, this is a fun one. Rating Retro, North Carolina. I may be moving after the holidays. I need to move all of my inventory. So if this was you, you had to move all of your inventory. I don't like thinking about that. Would you end it all and start fresh and add a batch back every day via sell similar, or would you do something different?
I would never just shut my store down like that. Most of my inventory is in tubs that are, I can show you. Most of my inventory, pardon the mess, but most of my inventory I would just put the tubs in and move them because I'd have to move it anyway. So there really wouldn't be a good reason for me to take them all down. I don't think I would ever do that.
I think I would say if it were me, I would probably try to have a really big sale and try to kind of get your inventory down as much as you can. And then I would just put my store on vacation mode and allow stuff to sell and just let people know that I'd be able to ship out once I was done with the move. But if you've got an inventory system, then, you know, like Scott said, it should be pretty easy to just pick it back up once you get everything set up.
You need a truck, a group of buddies, beer and pizza, and a long weekend, and I
No
promise you,
beer
you can
until
make it
the
happen.
inventory is moved.
Yes, no beer till the inventory is moved. No
Don't give it
food.
at the beginning.
No food till it's over. You don't need any of those grimy fingers on all your stuff either. But a group of your friends, a couple of trucks and some trailers, get them all loaded up, moved over, pizza and beer to celebrate when you're finished. Do it over a weekend. You won't even have to put your store in vacation mode. It would be great.
If I had friends, that's exactly what I would do.
Scott, if you ever move, I will come help you personally.
We
I
will
will
drive to Texas. We will be in Penelope.
Yeah.
But it will take me 2 days to get there.
I will fly there. You just got to come get us from the airport, and we will make it happen.
No problem.
I can't say that I share that sentiment as nice a guy as Scott seems to be, because if I needed to move all of my inventory, I would end it all.
I would end it
I
all.
don't mean I would end my listings.
That's how I feel every time Cayley says, "Hey guys, we're gonna get a new office. Let's move again." I'm like, Lord, pray for me.
Oh my gosh. So Brad and I talked about this because if you guys know, I have 3 sheds. Plus now Brad has a 4th woodworking shed. I would not move unless I could afford to pay somebody to pack it up and put it right back where it was when it got there. I would not end my listings. I am with Scott. I would not end them. I don't plan on moving unless I have a lot of money and I can pay somebody and my sheds get professionally packed with like whatever shelf it's on, and then it gets brought and put back on those shelves. Maybe I would do like time away mode for a week and still take sales and put it right back where it went. I have a bunch on shelves, so I don't have a bunch of totes. I do have some totes, and most of the inventory in this big shed is in banker's boxes. I went with banker boxes method. So these would be easy, but the shelves in the other 2 are a lot of breakables, and unless I am like filthy rich and can be like, I need this moved and I want it to look like this when I get there in 5 days, then I'm not ever moving. I would never. I have 6,000 listings. Could you imagine ending 6,000 listings?
You need to go the George route.
Just
End it all.
But
let me
really
know when you
quick,
do it, because I want to be at your estate sale.
so you can like get all my stuff, right? Really quick, Diane said, happy birthday. Thank you. She was watching my store reviews from last week. When will I do it in December? So December's, I'm looking at the calendar now, and she's asking about my members only eBay store reviews. December will be, I do it the 2nd Thursday. It will be the 8th of December, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'll post at the beginning of the week for you to post your stores to get reviews. And if you're in the members and you're a new member or more income gifted you a membership, I've had my paid membership for over 2 years. And when you become a member, George has a membership too. When you become a member, you can watch all of the videos from the past, like since I started my membership. So you can go back and watch all the old member lives once you join and see years of store reviews, which will help you, whether it's your store or not. Watching stores be reviewed and watching the old sourcing lives too, because I research stuff, will help. Okay, one more comment to put up, and then we're going to do one more question. I had to put this up because the Donovan collection sold a $1 teacup for $213, which is absolutely amazing. Congrats. I don't know if you're still here. Guys, I made it 3 minutes into 8 o'clock is how far we got on questions tonight. There were 40 questions before we started. So if you want your questions answered, please come early and you can pop them in and then come back. Don't put them before 7 o'clock. I did get a message. They will disappear if you put them more than an hour early. So don't come after 7. Get them in early. And yeah, so let's see. What is I got to pick a good question. I'm looking. Glenn put this up. I don't know if Glenn's still here. He's Cayley and Elaine. Cayley and Nikki, do you do Poshmark for your clothing?
So we list everything on eBay and Poshmark, everything with exception of maybe like 3 items because I'm scared of getting a Vero go on both platforms. So we list on both of them. We have 5,200 active listings around that right now. So quite a bit going through, but Poshmark has recently actually like become a level playing field with eBay. So we're really enjoying it.
I would love it if that happened. Poshmark, even though it's on fire for me, is nowhere near eBay. I think I did like 2,000 last month compared to 16,000 on eBay. So if I could hit 6, I'd be thrilled.
We've been selling more packages over the weekends on Poshmark than what we have on eBay. Most weekends we're selling over 100 on Posh alone. It's
Nice.
fire.
Yeah, and has it been since it changed hands?
Honestly, I think it's been since I've been using Closet Clear Out. Which has unfortunately been around the same time that change happened. So I can't say which is which, but I would say that I do think it is due to us actually participating in the sales that they do.
Are you doing live sales?
Not yet. That's another one that we want to try out, but we just have not gotten there yet. But I've heard it's I guess I hear the same gripes as, you know, whatnot. You just sell stuff for less. I don't know again if it would be the right for our business model, but we want to at least try it and test it out.
Perfect. All right, guys, all of these questions are good. I still have 40 and I quit starring them a while ago. So I'm sorry. We've had 450, 500 people here the whole time. Thank you all for being here. I'm sorry. It would be like really like cat after hours, and I definitely can't expect everybody to stay that late. So definitely come next week. I will be live from the mountains, which I'm hoping to get like an awesome view of the cabin. So you have to come next Tuesday. All right, last question. Mile High Mom. One of my favorite things about reseller channels is that sellers will admit when they don't know something and viewers will share info. What is something you learned from a viewer?
Not anything. I mean, I know everything. So, so for me, that probably wouldn't apply. You know, actually if you were to go read the comments, there's a ton of things I don't know. There are some things I know exceptionally well. If this panel were to start discussing lumber, I'm going to know hardwoods and how to mill it probably better than anybody. But I'm trying to think of something specific. A calculated shipping is one, like on my video that I have a video about shipping, and I talk about how I ship. I mean, most of my stuff I put the price in, and they were explaining how the calculated works as far as making absolutely sure that you have the correct dimensions and weight in there, the shipping weight, because that will have a great impact on whether or not it ships at the price that the buyer thought they were getting it for. And so that's not something I would have known.
We learned so much from our viewers. It's hard for me to pick just one. I mean, I got people on Instagram sending me messages just today. They're like, hey, here's a new bolo. I checked the sell-through rate. It matches your business model. Look for this brand. They send me the tag. I'm like, you guys are amazing. But I would say in general, the things that I find the most helpful is whenever we're showing something in a haul and somebody gives me like brand knowledge. Like they know how that brand was started, what they typically are known for, like what their core items are. They're able to give me some keywords on that specific brand. And I would say that helps me out tremendously, but it is hard to pick just one. Did you have any that come to mind?
My biggest thing, again, falls back to the brand aspect in general. Not just like bolo brands. Like bolo brands are great, but let's be honest, they're bolo brands for a reason because you typically don't come across them. My favorite is really when viewers reach out and tell us more of like a bread and butter everyday brand that's trending really well, because then it's something that we know we can come across. It makes it easy flip. We know what's available, and we can quickly make money on those. Those are my favorite.
Well, for my channel, I'm really trying to share information and talk about what I know or what I think I know. And if I make a mistake, viewers always make a point to tell me. And I'm really glad about that. I encourage that. I want that to happen. I had this notion for years that Chalet Glass in Canada was somehow involved with First Nations tribes. And it turned out that that was completely wrong. When a viewer told me and I went and read the history, it turned out it was something completely different. So I learned that I should look for Folk Manus hand puppets from Stephanie at Thrifting Adventures. And she is somebody who watches me, and we went shopping together one day and she saw one, and you know, she was fairly new to her channel at the time, and here I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to be helping her learn all this stuff, and she taught me something. And that's what's so great. I love that about the reseller community. I especially love that about the antique and vintage community, because even if there's 1,000 of us at a show like Renegers last weekend, we're not really competing with each other, because we mostly have different stuff than the next person and the next person. And so we share information, and I love seeing that happen online. So I think it's great. The viewers definitely teach me stuff, and I'm glad it works both ways.
My viewers like to teach me pronunciation, which I suck at. And they tell me.
Us too.
Yeah. If they tell me nice, I take it well. If they don't tell me nice, I don't really take it well. I learn a lot. Like today, I was calling the bail of a pendant the bevel, and people in my Whatnot show told me, and I'm like, what? Like I'm like, George, I appreciate everything. Tell me, just be nice. Don't be like an idiot about it. Like, you can tactfully correct someone. It is totally possible to be polite. And most people are, and I appreciate it. Same thing. I don't want to be telling, you know, information that's not correct. And if I am perfectly fine being corrected and learning. And I learn a lot, like every single video. Same thing, like Cayley and Nikki were saying, people tell me different brands are kind of offshoots off stuff I'm selling that they've sold. It is endless. It is really endless. We're all helping each other. We all have different knowledge. That's why I like doing these panel shows, because we might all be doing different stuff, but it's working for us, and you got to figure out what works for you. Yes, sir, Scott.
I was going to piggyback on that. If you're a reseller or a YouTuber, the minute that you really genuinely think that you know everything, you are no longer going to be any good at this, because it is a constant moving target that nobody can keep up with all of it. So if you stop learning, you're going to get passed up by every single person that's still learning.
When it changes all the time, you know, something that is good today isn't good tomorrow, may change again in 6 months. And sometimes just hearing about that on a channel kind of notifies you that you need to change your business model. Think about like Whatnot, right? Think about Posh shows. All this is new and upcoming. eBay adding videos, all that's a change. There's no possible way as a reseller. I think we all like to dabble in pretty much everything or try things once or twice. We would spread ourselves way too thin if we had to physically go on and try every single thing ourselves. By going to other reseller channels or having other reseller friends, it's a good opportunity to reach out, see what worked for them, what didn't, get the pros and cons, so you kind of have a head start ahead of time. Rather than kind of going in and learning kind of blindly into all of those as well.
Cheryl sent me a $2 happy birthday super chat and said, I hope you have a great vacation. Thank you. I am attempting to take a real vacation. Whether it will work or not, mine is Tuesday Night Live. Whether it will work or not, I do not know. We
got an
definitely
extra $2 to do it with.
I know. I can get all the things now. Listen, last time we're bad about, like, I love going looking for shells. We went to the gem mining in Pigeon Forge last time and spent like $600 because Dalton kept wanting to find more treasures, and we like digging through it too. We're not going to lie. And so we kept buying buckets of gemstones, and $600 later, you know, it happens. So we are going to go. We're hoping to find snow because Brad has never seen snow, my husband, and Dalton has never seen snow either. So we're hoping there's somewhere within driving distance. So if you're within driving distance of Pigeon Forge and it's snowing when I'm there next week, please tell me, because we will drive, because they want to see snow, and we're okay driving a couple hours to find snow for them. I know when I went before, a lot of like the peaks of the mountains would have snow, even if it was warmer, like down in the valleys. So hopefully we can find them some snow. I'm going to give you your dolphin, Cheryl, and then we will let everybody. Richard says he's going to ship me snow. That's not the same, Richard. I'm going to give you your super chat, and then we'll let everybody say bye, let you know what they have coming up, and then I will let you guys know who will be on next week. Here is your dolphin, Miss Cheryl. Oh, hold on. The UK coming through. Hi, Kat and guests. We love your content, Kat. We just started our own YouTube channel, Reselling in the UK. That is awesome. Happy to have you guys watching. Let me give you a dolphin. Okay, I'm going to give you a dolphin, and then we're gonna try this again. Thank you so much. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, Scott, you're up. Tell them what you got coming up.
I have something I'm actually really excited about, and I don't know that it applies to YouTube or Instagram. I have sold 2 of my merch shirts, but I've given away almost 100. And if you follow me on Instagram, I have a storage locker that in the end, it ended up with about 4,000 pieces of mid 1980s new old stock sweats and t-shirts and things like that. And I'm getting my merch printed on them. I found somebody to do it. And so I'm super excited about that because I won't lose nearly as much giving that stuff away as I have the others. So before Christmas, I'll have that done.
Perfect. I have one of those shirts. Now I need one of the 80s, but I don't know if their sizes will fit me. Okay, here's Cayley and Nikki.
Just want to say thank you for having us on. It was really nice to meet everybody like face to face virtually, because some of you I've talked to in chat on our channel, on your channel. So it was really nice to meet everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. My channel is Cayley Elaine on YouTube. We honestly don't have anything super new coming out. If anything, I just want to be more consistent on our lives. We don't do super fancy lives like here where we have guests and everything, maybe one day, but we do try to come on every Monday and just do like a general live just with us to answer questions. So just hoping we can go back, I guess, to being more consistent with that, because we do enjoy talking with all of our viewers every week. So if you want, you can join us on Mondays. It is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so kind of early.
All right, here is George.
Well, I will have my regular every Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I have my premiere. I do VODs. You know, I drop a new video and I sit and chat and we all talk about it as it plays live for the first time. So that's fun. And so please join me anytime then. I also will be doing a bunch of real world antique shows starting in January in Florida. West Palm Beach is the weekend after New Year's. Venice is my only Gulf Coast appearance of the season, the weekend after that. And then the third week is the next Renegers Mount Dora, where I just saw Kat. The next extravaganza will be there. So if you're in the Florida area near any of those places, please come meet me in person or come see me again in person. And I'll try to have some interesting things to show you and we'll have fun. Other than that, no real special things set up, but maybe a few surprises in December. We'll see.
And I put up here, Zeno posted, George is almost to 35,000 subscribers, guys. So if you aren't subscribed to George, he is a wealth of knowledge. Definitely check him out for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Katrina says if you're a vintage reseller, she wants a Wedgwood wintergreen teapot. So find her if you have one. All right. So next week, live from the mountains, I will be joined by Leroy Blood, Sweat, and Cell as my co-host, who is a very, very good friend of mine. And we will have Mary Beth and Laura from Fatbirds Finds on. Those ladies are
Oh,
wonderful, as well as Rebecca Allison, and she has never been on. So I'm trying to get you guys some new faces on here, and that is what is on the lineup for next week. So I appreciate everybody coming. I will have my Whatnot sale tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be most of the costume jewelry. I did all the sterling tonight, mostly all the costume jewelry from Renninger's, and also I found one more bag of sterling. So there will be some more sterling. They were little tiny. If somebody came in my house, they'd probably think I was dealing drugs with all the jewelry bags all over the place. You know, so I don't have my outro. Thank you guys all for coming. I really do appreciate it. Follow all these guys. Their links are down in the description. Special thanks, as always, to my mods, Marsha, Richard, and Mark helped me a ton. I appreciate them. Thank you all for coming. We will see you next Tuesday.